Welcome back to Beauty Uncovered. I'm your host, Danielle Frank. And in a previous life, decades ago, I was a mat Pilates instructor. Well, among the other disciplines I was certified in. But mat Pilates, aside from weight training, was one of the most transformative classes I had ever taught. Being very fit at the time, I started studying Pilates thinking it was another class to add to my repertoire. And though it was not exhausting to me like weight training or some of the cardio I was doing, it was incredibly precise, for lack of a better word. I found my posture significantly improved. And that was really mostly due to the core training and the posture focus. But as those core muscles got stronger, my workouts with weights and my running really amped up significantly. I started to see a little bit of a correlation between how long I lasted in my running and my Pilates class. So I had always thought that I didn't have enough cardiovascular strength to get past, 3 or 4 miles. But suddenly I was spiking 7 to 9 mile runs. Which brings me to our next guest, Andrea Rogers. She's the founder of the international bar brand, Xtend Barre, which she founded in 2009. And it has a strong influence in dance and Pilates. Knowing the foundational principles of Pilates, the two disciplines make sense. But what is the added benefit for you? And is it appropriate for your goals? Let's find out. Andrea, I am really excited that you're here today because I'll be honest with you, I am a huge fan of Pilates and I've never actually tried it with barre. So I thank you for coming today.
I'm excited to be here. And I love that you are a fan of Pilates. It's like the foundation of all movement. I'm telling you, once you know Pilates, you know how powerful it is.
Oh yeah. No, it is transformative and it's, I have to say, I'm not going to say it was easy, but it wasn't hard. And I think that was like the thing that really blew my mind because I've actually had sciatica problems and stuff like that. And it really did make a big difference. Everything from my posture to being able to carry out things longer. So I would love to know, what is it that made you decide to combine the two? I mean, you started the business in 2009. And I remember when it came out because I was pregnant with my son. Yes. And I remember seeing like all about it. I'm like, ooh, because in my fantasy life, I was a ballerina, but I know. Yeah.
That's like most women, right? It's like we either were a dancer or tried dance when you're younger, or want to be a dancer, want to move like a dancer. I think we all have this aspiration to have that grace and that combination of grace and strength, right? Which is really why I started Xtend Barre. It really is. I was a dancer, professional dancer for many years. And after graduating from college and finding myself in a bewildered predicament, I was like, okay, I should get a real job because that's what people do when they graduate college. And I just knew that I had to be in a career that involved movement. And so I segued my love for movement into a classical Pilates career. So I became a classical comprehensive Pilates instructor. And I just fell, just like you, I just fell in love with the method. It was, it's a mindful way of moving.
And so you were doing it with like the reformer and all the machines,
all the things,
that's intimidating to me.
I mean, the certification was over a year just to learn, right? Before I could start teaching. So it's like I said, it can seem intimidating. And when you look at those machines, you're like, oh my goodness, what is this? But when you break down those barriers and you start to look at the power of movement and the power of Pilates, you really understand that it's very simple movement. It's just about applying the principles of mind over body and learning how to move your muscles in the specific way to get the most out of every single rep. So as opposed to mindless movement where you go to the gym and you run on a treadmill for an hour, if you can do 8 reps of one move in Pilates, you are going to feel the difference.
So let me ask you something, because I want to break down everything that has to do with the classes and all of that you do. So when we get back to Pilates as a core, what would you say is the core benefits of Pilates and whether or not it's appropriate for everybody?
Yes. Well, I think there's some core principles. I won't go through all of them, but there's a thought process with Pilates that it's all about control. Contrology is what it's called. And it's all about controlling your body through the movement. So you don't let momentum take your body into motion, right? You empower your mind and you activate specific muscles to engage, to move. And again, that is the power of mindful movement. And we talk about mindful eating, we talk about mindful, all these other things, but when you talk about mindful movement, is really powerful to understand how your mind plays such a big role in your movement, and to understand how movement plays such a big role in your mindset. So for me, Pilates was as I said to you in the very beginning, it's the foundation of movement, because those principles apply whether you are weightlifting, whether you are a track star, whether you are swimming, no matter what your body is doing in motion, the principles of Pilates are actively in play. And can be. And if you have that education with Pilates, I feel like it translates into all areas of movement and all areas of your life.
I actually find it fascinating. If you look at the history of Pilates, I mean, it was really embraced by the dance community. I mean, really early on.
Yes.
And being that you have dance incorporated into it, this is where I'm fascinated, because again, I told you right before we came on, I've always admired my aunt who decided at 50 to start doing ballet, and still does it to this day. And, but the thing, when I think of dance, I think of a more kinetic, it's a lot more movement. And I know that Pilates is a lot more, isolated. It's very precise. Mm-hmm. So how do you blend the two and still be able to get the kind of benefit that we're speaking of?
I love that you brought that up, because that's the essence of what Xtend Barre is. I wanted to combine my two passions for Pilates and dance. I wanted to create the foundation of Pilates and apply it to the principles of movement, and allowing yourself to come through all planes of movement, and to really focus on working the body top to bottom, front to back, inside out, and not in these small isometric down an inch, up an inch, which Barre is known for. Barre is known also to be very regimented and to be very small and sense. Down and up and down and up, and teeny tiny movements. And those are fantastic. And you will see that sprinkled throughout our repertoire, but you're also going to see very big movements in all planes of movements, meaning we work from parallel to external rotation, from frontal to transverse. We change the body and we move in a way that feels good. And that's how I choreograph. I really create movement that just feels good. It's like, okay, if I just did this movement, now what do I want to do? What does my body naturally want to do now? And so the Xtend Barre philosophy is exactly that. It's about taking the principles of Pilates, applying it to the grace, fluidity, and flow of dance, and coming up with this great magical repertoire that makes us just feel really good and challenged. I mean, it is insanely challenging, yet it is incredibly accessible, meaning everybody can do it. And just like you said, you had that story. One of my most dear clients, Judy, started Xtend Barre with me at 75. She came to her first class at 75 years old. And she, a few years later, she was like, I'm in the best shape of my life. So to be able to
isn't that a great thing to be able to say at that age? I mean,
I said, I'm like, Judy, if I'm like you and I have the strength and energy and everything that you have at your age, it's a win. It's such a win, right? But I think we put these limitations on ourselves. We say, I don't look like a dancer. I can't do that class. I'm not flexible. That class isn't for me. I have 2 left feet. I'm so uncoordinated. There's no way I can benefit from that class. We create these walls, these barriers, right? These limitations on us. And they're 99% of the time just completely false, right? And so we try to help break down those barriers and open the doors and say, try a class, just try a class. It's not going to be easy. We're not going to tell you it's going to be easy. You might have to stop. You might have to take breaks. I still take breaks in my classes, but if you are consistent with it, within a few weeks' time, you are going to feel like a different human being. So wouldn't you want to give it, like 2 or 3 weeks to feel like a different person?
I mean, I'm ready to sign up now.
Yes. And the thing is, I'll tell you this, Danielle, we just like we add those barriers, we also create this theory of all or nothing, right? Like I have to work out for an hour really hard or it's not even worth it. And then it becomes overwhelming and we come up with excuses and we don't do it, right? Where what we try to do is try to show our users that as little as 15 minutes a day, even 5 minutes a day can make a big difference. And I have something that I call movement snacks. And those are like little bite-sized digestible moments of the day that you move your body. So when I'm brushing my teeth, I do heel lifts. When I'm waiting for something to cook in the microwave, I'm doing plies. When I've got something on the stove that needs to simmer, I'm doing push-ups at my countertop. I'm finding ways to sprinkle in movement throughout the day where when I'm done, I'm like, oh, hey, I got a little quiver, I got a little shake, I got a little burn. And those add up. So it takes that feeling of overwhelm and it just completely blows that out of the water. And it takes all of your excuses and it blows them out of the water. And you have an opportunity to just sprinkle these little movement snacks in throughout your day.
I actually love that because I remember incorporating little things throughout the day. Even when I was going for a walk, I remember, the posture that you're supposed to have. And I would, because you want to say that you're developing that posture and it's something that you're going to carry throughout the day. But I'm sorry, sometimes you got to remind yourself.
You have to.
No, when I was growing up, I come from a German and Irish family. My dad used to come up behind us and pull back our shoulders and say, Uncle Gustav shoulders.
I love it.
It is what it is. But so here's a question I have for you, because I mean, I believe we're close to the same age. I'm just turned 50. And one of the things that
I just turned 40, girl. Come on now.
Oh, no, wait. Why did I think you were 50?
Because you know what? On Google, it says I'm 50 years old. The Google is wrong. It says I'm like a superstar soccer player and I'm just.
Oh, no, I saw that, but I know it was.
Everybody thinks I'm 50, which is great. I'm like, okay, I hope I look pretty good for 50. I just turned 40. Well, I just turned 40.
Okay, then I got a decade on you. Go.
Well, you look pretty damn good, girl. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
I was like, so yeah, give me your secrets.
I don't know. Good lighting.
Good lighting.
But as we get older, I mean, we talk about osteoporosis. We talk about a lot of people are really pushing the idea of heavy weightlifting. That muscle mass is what's going to prevent a lot of those problems. And I mean, it's really interesting. And I was in the fitness industry for a very long time, and it was often very confusing. And this is years ago. Back then it was confusing. It's even more confusing now.
It is. Yep, you bet.
And I find that there is, and I understand it. I think that having muscle obviously is incredibly beneficial, particularly for women as we get older. I mean, everything starts to go south. You need something to fill that in, whatever. But with that being said,
calories, right?
Right. But with that being said, typically, you lift heavy in order to get the kind of muscular benefits that you want to get. Now, with this, it's that lifting is not involved. So what do you think is the benefit when it comes to that muscular conditioning, though I do know already?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say there's no right or wrong, right? Yeah. I think that, when you get into that theory of like right, wrong, you can dance around those theories all day long, and you can have scientific proof on both sides of why one's better than the other. I think what you need to do in order to find your best physical self is to find a workout that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay. So forget about lifting weights, forget about, isometric movement, forget about this is better. If you're not going to enjoy doing it, you're not going to show up for it and you're not going to give it your all. So what I always encourage people, whether it's bar or Pilates or weightlifting or kickboxing or, Taekwondo, whatever it is, maybe it's just walking. Walking's a very underrated exercise.
Yeah.
What you need to do is what you're going to do. So you got to find something that actually gives you joy, that you leave the class, even when you love something, you still are going to have those moments where like, I don't feel like going, right? But when you leave class that you feel like, God, that was amazing. I feel like Superwoman. I am on a high, and that is going to give you long-term sustainability. Meaning when you are in your 50s and 60s, you might not want to, maybe you do, but you might not want to do like some crazy high impact workout that is going to be hard and taxing on your joints and ligaments. You might want to find something that is high energy, but low impact, right? So with our program, it really does carry through all phases of life, right? We have a program called Babies on Board for when you have your baby. We have prenatal programs. We have, women at the bar that are 21 standing next to a 78-year-old, and they all leave class going, oh my God, that was humbling. And that was
so great. With the Xtend Barre, there isn't a lot of high impact movements. It's mostly low impact.
It's a low impact, high energy workout. So you're going to burn calories. You are going to sweat. You are going to quiver. You are going to shake. You're going to push yourself in a way that you didn't know was physically possible, because we challenge the mind as well. But you are not going to be jumping and running and like kicking and doing things that are going to be a little bit more
Can't do that no more, girl.
We do add it. We have some ballet jumps that we sprinkle in, but we always modify. And that's what's so beautiful about the workout is, you can have somebody, I had someone yesterday in my class. I taught a class for the first time in a very long time at a studio, and it felt so good. And I had someone in class who had suffered, she was young and she suffered a stroke. And so she had paralysis on the right side of her body and limitations in her movement. And man, that girl kicked some ass. Like, she was incredible. There was nothing that stopped her. And it was all here in her mind, like the power of mind and the joy that she felt from movement. And she shared with me that she dealt with depression before she found movement. And this is what changed her life. So the biggest thing is move your body, do whatever feels good. If you want to hike, go hiking. You like to swim, go swimming. You want to do bar, do what you love. Because if you can research all day long of what exercise is going to burn the most calories and develop the most, the best metabolic, figure and everything, and perky butt and flat abs and all those things. You can research till you're blue in the face. But if you're not going to enjoy the workout and doing it, it doesn't matter.
That's very true. I have to say, like, as I've gotten older, and I would love to sit here and say that, like, weight training, I love the feeling of being strong.
Oh, I love it too.
But I find as I get older, I just don't have the patience for weight training anymore. Yeah. Finding something fun is really it is the transformation right there. Suddenly you want to be a part of something, which is really great.
Absolutely. And it's not always going to be fun, right? It's not like every day, like, I can't wait to go to my fitness class. No, I don't want to say that that's the case, but the more inclined you are to enjoy it, the more inclined you are to do it.
Well, I have another question for you, because it's kind of like a quirk of mine. So, when I used to teach classes, for some reason, I was always able to get in front of a class and teach a class, and it was fine. If I ever had to follow a class, it was like I had 10 limbs and stumps for arms. Yep. And, we talk about the grace that comes along with ballet, even Pilates as well. I want to get your thoughts on this, because as a person that I like to categorize as I was raised on playing basketball with my sisters. And though I really wanted to be a ballerina, but it was easier for mom and dad to drop all the girls at the basketball practice. It is what it is. But I think that when you sit there and think about, how to make yourself feel more graceful in your movements, in your everyday movements, how do you feel that this particular exercise contributes to that? Because I understand it's an exercise, you're learning a dance movement, but I'm sorry, just because I'm learning a dance movement does not mean I'm graceful.
No, not at all. But it's interesting. I have seen such massive shifts in postural and alignment cueing, right? When we use those cues in class, we are constantly cueing form and technique and Xtend Barre. That is something that we are big on. So we're not just going to get into a class and then just go 4 more, 3 more, 2 and 1. Lift your arms, lower them. No, you're going to hear abs engaged, knit your ribs together, gracefully relax your shoulders. You're going to hear all these cues. We're like cue crazy over at Xtend Barre, and we believe in cueing and the power of cueing. And when you start to hear the repetition of these cues on a consistent basis, you start to hear it when you are brushing your teeth, when you're sitting in your car, when you're sitting at your desktop, right? You start to hear that little voice, and people say that I heard your voice today, I heard your voice today, I heard your voice today, whether it's a motivational cue or a postural cue, and you start to see that transform into your everyday life. So the more you do that in class, the more you are likely to do it in everyday life. It's not immediate. Sometimes it is, but it's fleeting. But when you start to find that consistency, that's when you start to feel it happening. So because I grew up as a dancer and I was taught that from a very early age, I sit differently. I teach my kids at the table. I'm your dad. I'm like, Lane, all I say is I just say posture. And they're like, posture. I just give them a posture cue. Because I think when you are able to hold yourself in a way, you exude confidence as well, even when you're not feeling that way. And it gives you a presence. And I think that's a very powerful tool, in addition to all the physical, powerful elements that you gain from just having good posture, right? And good alignment. So yes, I think you end up, even some of the most uncoordinated, inflexible, two left feet kind of clients, I've watched them transform. And no, are they like performing with, on Broadway? No, but they are carrying themselves different, and their eye gaze is lifted as opposed to the floor, and their chest is proud as opposed to hunched in. And you see that difference, and it's incredible to watch that transpire. And I think it's incredibly powerful, especially.
I completely agree. And I have to say, over the years, as we're sitting behind computers, especially, and I'll be honest with you, I just feel like, and especially a lot of girls, like we tend to like make ourselves smaller. Not all of us, but some of us make ourselves smaller. I think it is really powerful when someone starts to really work on their posture. And I'm not even going to pretend that it's easy.
Yeah.
Because I know I first started doing Pilates and teaching Pilates after my second child. I had big freaking boys, girl. I had big boys. So the weight that was in front of me and the shoulders, the boobs, all of it, it was a lot of weight in front of me. So I was hunched over, trying to train my shoulders to come back and open up the chest. I would be sore in my upper back often because naturally I was just walking around like that, like curved.
Those muscles in a different way.
Yeah. Right. And I think that it's very interesting. I see more and more young women.
Me too. I walk down New York City and I'm like, I just want to go posture. I just want to tap people and go posture. Especially there's some friends of mine that had they just sit like this and like, girl, you got it. And I don't want to be that pretentious person. It's like, lift your shoulder, drop your shoulders, open your chest. Right. But I just want to be like, posture. If you can get that down, you're going to feel so much better.
And not only that, it actually helps with a lot of different things because suddenly your breath is open.
Everything.
Digestion, yes.
A little bit better.
The airflow is definitely better because your chest is not collapsed in.
Headaches, all this tension that you hold in there.
Yes.
And that's something too that I would say that stretching makes such a big impact on. I'm a big, I push stretching on a regular basis. I'm a cheerleader for stretching because I don't think we get it enough in our lives. And I think it's so important. So on those days that you don't feel like moving and you're like, I just am not up for it. Just stretch, take 5 to 10 minutes. And I stretch every morning before I get out of bed. I do like just a forward fold, neck rolls, shoulder rolls, like open the legs up. I'm talking 3 minutes. And then I typically will have a midday stretch where I just stop. I stretch my hip flexors, right, from sitting a lot. And then I do it's either in right here, like on the floor while the kids are watching TV at night, or it's in my bedroom and I'm on my bed and I stretch. I cannot go to bed without stretching. I sleep better. I feel better. I'm less tense. I do not go to bed without stretching. I mean, I've had too many drinks and I will still stretch and go to bed. So it's just like stretching is like, you don't go to bed with your makeup on. I don't go to bed without my makeup on, nor do I not go to bed without stretching. I always stretch.
That's it. That's really great. I mean, granted, I also think that the whole concept of doing the exercise while we're doing those little things in between life, I mean, because I have to admit, like, as I would recover from any of my kids or anything like that, that was how I got back into teaching again. It was me being by the kitchen sink doing push-ups on the sink. I couldn't even get down to the floor to do it because I was so weak.
Right.
I was one of those lucky people that would be on bed rest. Yay. So, your muscles atrophy, your gaining. And I wanted to get back into teaching. I loved that feeling. So, doing the push-ups on the things, I would have the chair behind me and standing up and sitting down.
Yes, small moves.
But that big thing was that abdominal control and lifting of the chest and pulling the shoulder back. You would think it's such a small thing.
It is.
It is a small thing, but it isn't a small thing.
And if you could take control over that little bit, and that's the thing with the power of movement and the power of these things that we're talking about, implementing these little things. When you feel like when you do that, when you did those little push-ups at the sink or the countertop, there was a slight sense of confidence and pride, right? Like you're like, I'm proud of myself. I just did something that I really didn't feel like doing, but I did it. And even if you don't recognize it, even if you don't even say it in your head, it's there. You have this little high that you get from like, oh, I just did it. Even if it was 2 minutes, right? And if you start to add that up, you start to transform your mindset and you start to transform the way you approach other things in your life. And so I just think the power of movement is It's everything. And, we talk about beauty and we talk about confidence. And, I always preach that, if you move your body, you're going to feel your best. You're going to feel more beautiful. You're going to feel more confident because you're going to feel strong and empowered.
If there was anything that I can honestly say that I took away from Pilates and my experience with that, it was great to go from, running 3 miles and then I suddenly could run 7. That was great.
Yes.
And I thought it was my cardio. No, it was my core strength.
Yeah.
But what really was my biggest takeaway, we talked about grace, and I'm not the most graceful person in the world, but I had more people because of the fact that my posture was so on point. After a while, I didn't have to consciously get there.
Yep.
And I would have more and more people that would sit there and just say, when you walk into a room, you're like so dynamic.
Oh, what a great compliment.
Right?
Yeah, that's a great compliment.
And so like I said, I always kind of, hobble along, whatever it may be. So, I mean, it does remind me of that. And there is a confidence that comes along with that. And you do start to feel beautiful. You feel graceful in all of that. And gosh, that's what we're all about. Let's see a simple way to get there.
Oh, I love that. That is fantastic, Danielle.
So tell all of our listeners exactly how they can get involved with Xtend Barre.
Yes. So we have Xtend Barre studios all over the globe. So you can go to xtendbarre.com to look and see if there's a studio near you. But we also have a fantastic online program. So you can extend anywhere. You can extend anywhere in your home, anywhere you go. It does not require any equipment, although you can use light hand weights and a resistance band if you have it.
You don't need a bar?
No, you don't need a bar. I have a bar here. I have my bar here, but you can just use a bar stool, countertop, any steady surface. You don't need a bar. And we have workouts as little as 10 minutes long. We have an entire program that's called Express, which is our 15-minute workouts. And then our workouts go up to 30 minutes. So that's it. And there are a variety. We have a whole Pilates program that we've done called Xtend Pilates. We have Xtend stretch programs. We have a whole stretching program that guides you through stretching. And then we have our signature Xtend Barre classes, which they're just fun. Yeah.
And I got to admit nowadays, like online is the way to go. I love the in-person, but in today's
it's so convenient, right? It's so convenient. And you can, the thing with our online program, we're with a partner called OpenFit, and we have this amazing community. So I just led a walk with a group of people. And so we have this sense of community as well. So we have this incredible Facebook group page where we talk, we get to know each other, we empower one another, we share pictures, we share challenges.
Oh, I love that.
We share wins. And so this community, I'm telling you, girl, it is like the most special group of individuals, and they are all cheering each other on. And it's like a little family for us. So if you're looking for an accountability partner, if you're looking for a cheerleading partner, if you're looking for just a connection, this is going to help you to, number one, work out and move your body, but number two, connect to other people that are cheering you on.
Well, if there's anything I can definitely attest to is community is everything.
Yes.
Everything.
It is.
And to have that kind of support really is amazing.
It is.
I'm so grateful you came here today. This was fun. And you made me like rethink so many things. I'm like, okay.
I was going to say, Danielle, you got to start making some moves now.
I think I will.
Not next Monday, starting now.
Okay. I'm going to get my posture up. But seriously, because I've been talking with my friends, and we've been talking about, because I, just turned 50, and my goal is to celebrate all year, but to do that by giving me the gift of the things that I have let slip away because of time. We focus on so many different things in life, and we've improved on so many things in our lives. Sometimes something becomes less of a priority. Admittedly, my health and my physical health is not it wasn't a priority as much as I thought it was. And now that's my goal for this year. So
take the horns. Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm grateful to talk to you. You just reminded me how much I loved it.
I love it. It's a catalyst for you to kind of jump into this year and just crush it.
Awesome. Well,
it was so good to connect. Have a wonderful rest of your day, Danielle.
You too.
Talk soon. Stay well.